Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. When my aunt used to play dominoes, she used to hit that 10 and be like, 10 to your business. Well, the business today of being Black is technology. Is it dumbing us down? Please welcome the co-host of the Gentleman of Crypto podcast, King Bless, radio personality and the host of Miles to Mogul, Miles Blockson, author and research professor of philosophy and psychology, Anthony Shamero, and consultant and life coach, Dr. Jeff Menzie. Now, before we left, Miles was saying that, listen, this not being able to have a face-to-face conversation and to not basically be human is what you're suggesting, Miles.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like King Bless, this is what you're saying. You're like, okay, my friends are profiting from this, so it's cool. We don't need this face-to-face interaction. We just need to adapt to this new, fake universe, this fake planet. Like, I'm not okay with that.
Well, a couple of things. First, I want to point out dysfunction, as Dr. Menzie pointed out, and I agree with them too. Tons of, dysfunctional people or being labeled different things. But again, being in Los Angeles, we've seen a lot of labels disappear and new ones pop up. So I will say that, but also dysfunction doesn't mean dumb. Like you can be dysfunctional and be a functioning human being. You can be smart, right? Like, for example, I just like to look at this panel right here. If you gave us all the same piece of technology, are we going to get dumber or are we going to get smarter and become more efficient to use it? I think this panel will become more efficient to use it. I don't think we'll be dumber.
That's a great example. I love that example, King.
And then,
Miles, what do you say? I mean, is he speaking truth?
Oh, King. Bless your heart.
Here's another example. There's a such thing as a functioning alcoholic. There's also another thing as a functioning person that's addicted to crack cocaine.
Hold on.
I mean, if we're just talking about...
Now, we're not going to suggest that it's okay to do crack or be an alcoholic simply because you can function at it.
But if we're talking about functionality being the marker, then because that's what King Bless was just saying, you can function through this stuff, and you absolutely can. People function through all kinds of things. People function with PTSD on a regular basis. But what happens is that you leave yourself susceptible. You're more likely to, mess up your own life or somebody else's when you're functioning in dysfunction. And so, I mean, we can't dismiss these things. I mean, it's been demonstrated over and over again in the psychological literature. I mean, there are actually studies that do show that there is a decrease in cognitive capacity in people who are overly reliant on technology. And so, we can spin it how we want to, but like I said, it's going to cost us something. And it is costing us.
Tony, they keep saying it's going to cost us something. But let's take this example of not being face-to-face in the whole metaverse today, right, Tony? Listen, we were in a pandemic, still are, for the last 2 years where we couldn't see anyone. We couldn't speak to anyone. We had to learn new ways to exist with one another. There are studies now that suggest that higher education is not even, it's not beneficial. I mean, come on. Do we really need the things that are of old? And would a metaverse be a better world, Tony?
I am here to defend a very narrow thing, which is that these technologies might be really terrible, and some of them are, but the one thing they're not doing is making us dumb. I mean, they cause social media causes all kinds of problems. It's also beneficial in some ways, which is why people put up with the problems. So, I mean, I'm not in favor of the kind of loss. I mean, just think about being in person with someone versus having a Zoom chat. You lose so much of the experience of being with the person when you do that. So, I'm not a big fan of the online life or the metaverse.
King?
I think the metaverse is going to be good for us. I prefer face-to-face interaction. I'm millennial, so I've been a part of that world. Like, I remember 7 phone numbers and a rotary phone versus where we're at now. So I've been in both worlds. I get it. But I think it's going to be good for us as far as efficiency again. I think when we start to look at humans becoming dumber and all those stuff, long story short is just, what's the end goal? Is the end goal to create a perfect human who have no dysfunctions, who are always perfect, and they do things in the real world? Like, that's not realistic. Again, humans are different. We're adaptable. There are going to be some crazy people, some cool people, some everything. But again, technology is not making us dumber. I think it's just enhancing who you already are.
Y'all remember that? You remember that cartoon Wall-E, when all the people were like, eventually like in game, people were like stuck in these chairs. They had to float around, and all they did was pump food and stuff into their bodies the whole time. They never.
Somebody wants that too. I agree. Somebody wants that.
They were totally atrophied. And I think that if we're not careful, we'll spend too much time sitting in these computer chairs. You got people who like gamers who literally don't get up to use the bathroom. So instead, they go to the bathroom in different bottles and leave these bottles sitting around their seat as they're playing. They won't even get up.
Is that true? Is
That's
that
a
Yes.
true statement. That's
Yes,
a true
that's how
absolutely
addictive it is.
Yeah. No, I don't lie. I'm not gonna be up here lying to y'all just to prove a point. This stuff is amazing. It's crazy, actually.
And you know what?
Oh my gosh, that's the
Activision
first time I ever heard of that. They don't go to the restroom.
No, not if they don't have to.
and not saying the dollar is the bottom line here, but Activision was just bought out by Microsoft today for $68.7 billion.
Wow.
So if you got to pee in a few bottles to improve your life, get the bills paid, get things done, and go back to the real world when you have the bed. All right, what are we talking about here?
But Activision was around when I was little, and it was around when I was little. So here we go. They've sold for billions of dollars, right? And again, which black person is profiting off of that? I know I bought plenty of Activision games back in the day, right? I know I deal with plenty of Microsoft products right now. I ain't seen now part of that.
There's no
King,
barrier.
I do want to tap into that. Whereas Black people are making some low level money comparatively with the people who are creating the metaverse, with the people who are creating crypto, with the people who are creating Instagram and Facebook. The people who are making money off of those platforms are making very little money compared to the people who've created those platforms. So why can't, and I'm speaking specifically about Black people, why can't Black people get in on the creations of some of these so that we are the owner of an NFL team and not just the player?
Because we're too cool. By and large, our culture is way too cool to be creators. Technology is boring, it's nerdy. All this other stuff we're talking about is boring and nerdy. It's not the cool thing. We keep looking to athletes and entertainers for advice all the time. For whatever reason, that's what our culture does. We should not look at any entertainer, athlete, whatever, without any type of professional background for any type of advice outside of their expertise, yet our culture continuously does so. So right now, crypto specific, metaverse specific, NFTs and all this stuff, there is literally zero barrier to entry, which is why when I see these groups pop up in crypto, Black woman, all this, I'm like, there's no barrier to entry right now. Literally anyone, a 5-year-old Black, you can do it right now. They're just not for whatever reason. That has nothing to do with the industry. It has nothing to do with the platforms or the creators. It has to do with the culture and the community not doing it for whatever reason.
Doesn't it require capital, King Bless?
No, a lot of it actually doesn't require that much capital. You can make a cryptocurrency 15 minutes online right now for free.
You said you can make a cryptocurrency. I'm gonna get with you, brother. I'm gonna check out your channel because I need
for sure. And that's my point. It doesn't require that much overhead. It doesn't require capital. It doesn't require all these things. It requires somebody who's just interested in it. And right now, there's a lot of programs, grants, blah 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 blah. And we're encouraging and helping this as well, to where anyone can enter the space. Is literally just not the cool thing to do. It's literally not the cool thing to do.
So I want to do a debate real quick, just to, I'll give each of you about 30 seconds or a little bit over to state your case, whether technology is dumbing us down. Yes or no, Miles? And why?
Technology it's dumbing us down. The creators of all of these social media platforms even said they made it addictive on purpose so that people would constantly spend their time on the platforms. And then they put in advertising. And once they put in advertising, people are spending money. It's all about money. Think about the challenges that are out there, the social media challenges, people doing the blackout challenge, people doing the planking challenge and hurting themselves, people taking selfies on mountains and dying just to get a perfect picture. Like, it's making us dumber, so much dumber.
Tony.
So I guess I just want to say that, if you think about what we are capable of compared to someone who lived 200 years ago, imagine, I don't know, someone in a 19th century scientist would have a hard time imagining the stuff that for us is easy. And that's not because our brains are better. It's because of the technology and the research that's gone in to making it so that the world we live in enables us to do a lot more.